everyone, it's Elizabeth from DestinationDecoration.com. Today we're going to be talking about how to do watercolor brush lettering with a water brush. To create watercolor lettering, you'll need paper. I found that either cardstock or watercolor paper works the best. This is a Canson XL watercolor pad. You'll also need a watercolor set, either a pan or liquid watercolors. And you'll need water brushes. These are Pentel Aquash brushes, and as you can see, there's 3 of them, and I got them in a set. In the set, there's small, medium, and large. There are 2 main parts to a water brush. The first part that I'm pointing to is called the barrel. That gets filled up with water. The other side has the bristles, which are the part that you'll paint with. Unscrew the barrel from the bristles and fill it up with water. This is what you'll use to wet your watercolor and use while you're painting. When you need water from your water brush, gently squeeze the barrel. Not too hard or it'll come out from the place that the bristles attach to the barrel. You want it to gently slide down the bristles and form a bead of water at the end of your brush. The next step is to mix your watercolors. If you have liquid watercolors, you can skip this step. Gently squeeze 2 to 4 drops of water into the pan of your desired color. Then mix the water with the pigment using a swirling motion with your brush. Don't worry about mixing too hard. The brushes are pretty sturdy. When you think you've got the right saturation and right amount of water, test it on a scrap sheet of paper. I generally like my watercolors a little more pigmented and less watery. Do what you like best according to what kind of lettering you're trying to create. If the paint is too dry, add 1 or 2 more drops of water and remix. If it's too wet or not concentrated enough, like in my example, stir the watercolors a little more to create a more concentrated pigment. Test until you've got the right concentration. When you're done writing with one color and want to switch, you'll need to clean your brush. Do this by scribbling on a scrap sheet of paper or paper towel. Squeeze the barrel if necessary and scribble until the water runs clear from your brush. The tip of your brush may be stained, but as long as the water is clear, you won't have to worry about it affecting future projects. Now you're ready to letter. Instead of diving straight into letter writing, I recommend practicing some basic strokes to get accustomed to the water brush. Start with one color and dip into the color and gently brush the tip against the edge of the watercolor pan to release excess water. Hold your brush at a 45-degree angle from the paper. The key for brush lettering to remember is thin upstrokes and thick downstrokes. This means whenever your brush is moving in a downward motion on the paper, apply pressure so the bristles fan out to form a thick line. Whenever your brush moves in an upward motion, use only the very tip of your brush to create a thin line. Upstrokes can be tricky and they will take practice to master, especially if you've never done any type of brush lettering before. Keep practicing. I promise you'll get better with time. This is what upstrokes and downstrokes look like when put together to form a letter. And here are a few other strokes you may choose to practice. This is a basic strokes worksheet that is available on destinationdecoration.com. I'll put a link in the description box below where you can download these worksheets. The Basic Strokes worksheet has strokes that will help you become accustomed to your water brush and can serve as a warm-up for when you practice a little. To use this worksheet, trace the strokes in gray and use the blank space to practice your own strokes freehand. The first stroke is called the downstroke. My brush is moving down on the paper, so I need to apply heavy pressure to get a thick line. This next stroke is called an upstroke. My brush is moving up on the paper, so I need to lift off and apply only light pressure to get a thin line. The next strokes are combinations of upstrokes and downstrokes that are commonly used when writing letters. Notice how when my brush moves down on the paper I'm using heavy pressure, and every time it moves in an upward motion I'm using light pressure. The next logical step for lettering is to transition to writing letters. These worksheets, also available on destinationdecoration.com, are tracing worksheets designed so you can feel comfortable tracing letter forms. Take special note the way my brush moves and how it affects the pressure I use. Again, thin up, thick down, making sure your brush is at a 45-degree angle from the paper. Don't be afraid to lift up your brush in the middle of a letter. It's okay to go back and correct or fix something that doesn't look quite right. Here's what the lowercase worksheets look like in action. Feel free to re-dip your brush whenever you feel it is necessary. I didn't redip that often because this is practice. Plus, I like the fading look of the ink when you use your brush for more than one color before redipping. Remember, thin up, thick down. Finally, when you are comfortable with letter formation, try writing some words or a short phrase. This worksheet, created by Olivia from A Random Olive, is a great place to start. This worksheet will also be available in the link below. Here's a piece of advice for writing words and phrases. One of the tricky things about writing words is connecting letters. When connecting letters, give your letters enough of a tail so that the next letter can sort of flow straight into the previous one. And that's it for waterbrush lettering. If you'd like any of these worksheets, make sure to visit the blog post link below. Happy lettering!